Hey, what's up guys, House of Tex here, showing how to remove and replace a oil pan gasket on a 2015 BMW 320i. As you can see, the belly pan is covered in oil since it's coming from the oil pan gasket. We need to remove the engine covers in order to install the tow hook. As you can see, the tow hook is installed on the cylinder head. The tow hook could be found in the trunk by the spare tire, but in this case it looks like a mission to dig in there. Since the battery is in the trunk, might as well disconnect the battery. I have a tow hook laying around, so now I will install it. We will be using a engine support bridge to hold up the engine while we drop the subframe. If you don't have an engine support bridge, you can use the engine crane if you're doing it on the floor. Now with a external Torx 12, we will unbolt the motor mounts to make sure that the engine is being lifted. Since the engine oil is being disposed, I might as well replace the oil filter. With a 3/8 hex, remove the oil drain bolt. While that is draining, I will start unbolting part of the subframe. Make sure to support the subframe just in case. It shouldn't fall because the suspension should be holding it up. This is how I work faster doing shortcuts. With a 13mm, I unbolted the bridge that attaches to the radiator support. I accidentally messed up on this part and took off the other bolt. Now with the 18mm, unbolt the rear bolts of the subframe. With a E-Torx 14, we can unbolt the last bolts holding up the subframe. I messed up in this part. I should have removed the wiring harness of the electronic power steering because it was holding up the subframe. Now with a 16mm, we will remove the left motor mount in order to unbolt the motor mount bracket since it's in the way of the oil pan bolts. I was removing the intake air cleaner and the intake hose before the throttle body in order to unbolt the motor mount bracket. I wasn't able to record it because there wasn't enough room. There is a bunch of hidden connectors and hoses that you do need to remove. It's really frustrating trying to pull out that intake hose. You do have to disconnect it from the intercooler, which you can reach it from the bottom of the car. Now we can disconnect some connectors and remove the torque converter cover plate with a 10mm to expose the oil pan rear bolts. After pushing the motor mount bracket out of the way, I was able to unbolt the oil pan with a E-Torx 10. When prying the oil pan off, make sure to pry gently since it's a plastic oil pan. It's really tight since you do have to drop the subframe for this job, but I was able to unbolt the transmission mount to raise the transmission to get more clearance. You also have to unbolt that little aluminum bridge with a 8mm. We installed dealer parts just to be on the safe side. Make sure to clean up the surface to get a good seal. Brake cleaner works well. Now it's time to put everything back and torque the oil pan bolts. When installing the oil pan, make sure the oil pan gasket does not come out of place. Oil pan bolts are torqued to 10 mm. The torque converter cover is torqued to 9 mm. I forgot to record this part, but I did unbolt the steering shaft to allow the subframe to lower more. It takes 24 mm for that bolt. After lowering the transmission, you can install the transmission mount nuts. The motor mount bracket is torqued to 38 mm. After installing the motor mount bracket, I will reinstall the intake hoses and air cleaner box. I forgot to record the installing part of the subframe, but bolts are torqued to 120 mm. The 13mm bolts are not. I couldn't find a torque for those. After I torqued the subframe, I aligned the motor mount bolts before I lowered the engine. Now we will lower the engine to torque the 6 motor mount bolts. Before going underneath the car, I will remove the bridge and uninstall the tow hook. After I lowered the engine, since I was already there, I went ahead and replaced the oil filter. Don't forget to replace the O-rings. When installing the O-rings, make sure to lubricate them. This oil filter came with a new oil drain bolt. Make sure to torque the oil filter, not just with your hand. The 3 motor mount bolts are torqued to 28 mm. Don't forget to install the oil drain bolt. It shouldn't take too much torque since it's plastic. After the bottom is done, we can install the belly pan and lower the vehicle. Whoops, now it's time to add engine oil. Now we can install the foam and the engine cover. The last step is reconnecting the battery. Now we can check the engine oil level with the car and start it up. Make sure to let it run and test drive it to make sure there is no more oil leaks. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed and liked the video.